garden. I'm going to be talking today about different soil mixtures that you can use in your garden that really work, and specifically focusing on the garden mix that I use. It's really not a science at all. A lot of people try to make it a science, but before I get into the episode, I'd actually like to like to say thank you so much for all of the viewer participation in last episode. I got to Skype with a lot of people. That was pretty cool, and that was really fun. And then I also, I added so many new people to the Facebook page and the Twitter page, which is really awesome because I actually do a daily tip, or I try to get a daily tip out on both of those websites. So that's also an added bonus. But I really thank you so much for coming out for that. And you guys can still do it. It's still active. I got a question that a lot of people have prompted me to do, so I guess that's what I'm doing my episode on. They were asking what kind of soil do I use in my garden. And so, I like to do things the natural way, if you haven't known already. A lot of people doing the square foot method will be doing, mosquito. Anyways, they will be doing the square foot method of soil, which is Mel's mix. And if I recall correctly, but don't hold me to it, I think it's 1 part compost to 1 part peat moss to 1 part perlite or vermiculite, I believe. And that's good. I mean, that's a pretty all-around good mix, but it only conflicts with my theory of gardening on the nutrient-based aspect of it. And in my opinion, every garden, mosquitoes are out in force today. I'm gonna start flying away. If you start seeing me fly away, it's because the mosquitoes are insanely thick right now. So the theory of mine is that every garden soil should have some actual earth soil in it. And this is just because it's like your mom's home cooking. You can try to replicate her cooking as much as possible, and you can even use the exact same results, but for some reason it just does not taste that fresh home cooked taste. It doesn't ever taste the same as when your mom makes it. It's the same way with garden soil, because the soil, you can add compost and you can add peat moss to make it really loomy and soft so the roots don't have a problem going down. But the soil, no matter the state it's in, whether it's super clay soil, really sandy soil, the virgin soil that comes out of the ground, you cannot beat. I mean, regardless of how bad it is, it contains so many trace minerals and so many other nutrients that compost can't have, because compost is just basically, it's just what the plant used to grow. It's very nutrient rich, but in specific amounts. I mean, like, you'll have your carbon, which is good. You'll have your nitrogen, which is good. You might have some phosphorus, but really phosphorus isn't found that very much in compost. And phosphorus is actually a key element in flowering and root growth. Phosphorus is actually, it's really hard to be found in compost, because if you compost leaves, they don't contain phosphorus. The phosphorus goes towards the roots and the flowers of the plant. So if you compost like your food scraps, there might be some phosphorus in there, but not a whole lot. So you really have to look at what your compost contains. And whereas Mel's Mix is great because you get a lot of aeration in your soil, but I found you can get the exact same results by having virgin soil and then putting compost in with it, and then also you know, just top dressing with a really good, you know, half composted compost, because it allows the worms to come up and loosen the soil. You don't need to add the peat moss and all that other stuff. Whereas people tend to overcomplicate the system. It's really, really, really simple. And I think that the simpler it is, the more success you're going to have, because a lot of times with Mel's Mix, you'll also find nutrient deficiencies, such as calcium. And that's just because calcium can't be found in compost. Calcium can't be found in peat moss. So they might think that they have the best soil around and it looks picture perfect, but the underlying factor is, what is it lacking? And so, you know, there's just certain things you have to take in consideration. And so I'm going to give you guys a close-up really quick to kind of look at what my soil looks like, and I'll show you just kind of exactly what I do to make my soil the way it is. And it's, like I said, it's not a rocket science, so it might look the same as it always has been, but I just want to get the information out there for you guys so you know that I'm not doing anything special with my soil. It's really, really simple. So stay tuned and I'll bring you guys in close to this bed. All right, so this is probably one of the best looking beds that I have. And this is just a close-up of a specific spot that I wanted to highlight here. You know, on the top you'll see all of this this loose kind of just this loose debris, and this is the remainder of my half composted compost. I mulch my beds after I plant my plants. I mulch my beds with a half composted compost, and it allows the worms to come up through the soil to finish off the compost on top. And then I also amend the soil with a finished compost. And you know, if I dig down here, you'll see just how rich and black this soil is. And also it contains a lot of sand. There's a good portion of sand because my soil that I had originally in here was a tad bit sandy. But as I said before, you know, it's very vital to have that original soil in there, because the way the soil was made was made that way for a reason. And it belongs there. You need to use that soil. Even in small amounts, you're going to get those nutrients that just are not able to be found in such things as Mel's Mix or potting soil or your Miracle Grow mixes or whatever. You know, it's all good, but there's just certain nutrients that are held in soils that can't be found elsewhere. And so, you know, you have your sand, and that also adds a lot of looseness. But you know, as you're digging down here, it's not that hard to dig. I mean, it's rather compacted because it's been a whole season. But as I'm digging, you know, there's no perlite. You don't see any perlite whatsoever. And it's because I don't add perlite to my soil. If I do, it's because it's from the potting mix that I start my plants in, and so like there's just a little bit right there on the surface. But I mean, overall, there's no perlite. There's no peat moss. In the beginning, when I put my beds in, these beds they were just sitting on top. But when I made my garden, when I put the beds in, I actually took soil from around the edge when I buried the beds, and I actually piled it inside the bed. Mosquito. So that way I not only saved on the amount of soil that I'd be using in the beds, but I also incorporated some of that virgin soil into the beds, which is also, like I said, really key. And then a lot of people think that I, you know, brought in compost or brought in certain mixes to fill my beds, and really I swear I didn't. I used the soil that was here. It wasn't very good. It was kind of clay mixed with quite a bit of sand. There wasn't a whole lot of dark, loomy earth, but I used it because it contained those minerals and that nutrients. And my plants are, I mean, they're huge. My pepper plants are producing like mad for the first time ever. They're producing like crazy, which I'm really happy about. and you know, I got parsnips. Never tried parsnips before, but they're exploding. And my carrots are going to be massive this year, and everything is done so well, and it's just attributed to the fact that I don't make anything a science. I base everything off of the exact same mix. I don't treat anything differently. My tomatoes, I give the same mix that I give my my peppers and my carrots and my zucchini and my cucumbers. Everything gets the exact same soil mixture, because the natural way is the best way. And granted, I might add some certain nutrients to the tomatoes to kind of boost them up, because they're really heavy feeders, but I'm talking specifically on the soil mixture itself. I don't do anything differently. And so, you know, what I'm just trying to get to is that when you first make your beds, just try to use some of the virgin soil in there, regardless of the state that it's in, and then you can add compost to slowly break down that soil if it's bad. If it's already good, you're already one step ahead of the game, and then you just add compost. And yeah, you can add some peat moss still too, but at least make sure you get some of that virgin soil into the beds. It's really key. And this can even be done. A lot of people were saying that they can't get virgin soil. They can't get they can't get access to soil because they either live in an apartment and they do container gardening, or they have a small lot that they can't dig in, but they're allowed to put a raised bed in. And my answer to that is, go along the side of the road. There's lots of construction sites. There's plenty of people that are building houses. There is so much construction going on that they'll put these big piles of topsoil and big piles of fill dirt. That fill dirt might not be the best quality, but it is virgin soil that came from the ground. And as long as it is in your area, it should have about the same composition. And even if it's not, even if it's like an hour away, it's better than not having any at all. And so, you know, that's just one thing you have to remember. And again, a lot of people might discredit this information, but I have plenty of facts to back it, and I am certainly not ashamed of not using Mel's Mix or not following those gardening methods. And so with that said, hopefully you guys learned something from this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully I answered some of your questions. And as always, this is MIgardener reminding you to grow big or go home. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good day. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Just as a quick note, I really would like to see people's soil composition that they have in their garden. So there's a really quick chance to earn some MIbucks if you guys want to put a video response together and put it on this video. You guys can get 5 MIbucks. And also, it's just a really cool way to show other people as well as me, because I got quite a bit of time on my hands to look at people's videos, and I enjoy doing it. So I wouldn't mind seeing how other people grow their food. So yeah, just make a video response, post it to this video, and I will check it out. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Bye.